Good morning, Internet fans. Ryan Perry, Simple Biz Support. Today is Thursday, November 5th. Therefore, it is Internet Marketing Thursday. And as usual, I have Virginie Dorn with Business Website Center on the other side. Good morning, Virginie.
Hello, Ryan. How are you today?
I'm doing good. I'm glad you were able to join me today.
Yes. Should we just tell people what just happened?
Sure, go ahead.
I hang up on you instead of muting something. So I had to quickly, within 2 seconds, I was back online, like nothing happened.
Yeah.
And here we are.
It's all about clicking the right button sometimes. Speaking about clicking buttons, we're actually talking about contact forms. So we actually want people to click buttons on your website. You have a baker's dozen list of do's and don'ts regarding the contact form, or what to do, what not to do. And I think to start off, a lot of people, contact form, yippee, throw a couple lines of text, give me your name, your email, and what your comment is, and hit a submit button. Do we really need to know any more than that?
Well, yes, and I think if you can engage your prospective clients to fill out that contact form, I think it's a great selling tool, because now they've given you permission to engage in a discussion about your product and services. So again, if we can find the right contact form for your right target audience and have those people fill it out, it's half of a battle, I think. And now you can go and get back to them, answer their questions, do your sales speech.
Okay, and when you say the right contact form, are there like different variations? Or are you just talking about the look and feel, or the text that you put on the contact form? The one thing I do find interesting is a lot of times the contact us page is might have a picture, there's an address, a phone number, and then a contact form, and that's it. But a lot of times there isn't any sales copy that says, hey, we'd like to hear from you.
Yeah, so there are different types of forms, and you can have more than just one form on your website. Based on the section of your website where your prospective client is, you could develop a form that makes sense for that part of your website. Perhaps this one is more marketing intensive. Another part of a site might be more about technical support, and that contact form is more about requesting information to help your visitors. So yes, and I think with starting with our 13 do's and don'ts of having a great contact form is, number one, you should know your target audience. If you don't know who that form is going to, how are you going to be able to assess the right form for that audience? So for instance, as you know, a younger audience might want something a little bit quicker, short, right to the point, and maybe a little trendier. Than a more mature audience then will like something a little bit more formal and be vowels through every field of a form. So that's number one. Then that takes us to step number two, is you don't want to make it too long, regardless of your target audience. If you make it too long, people don't have time, they have things to do. You're going to miss the opportunity. And it's being shown again and again. I was looking for some statistic. We've done it many times, A and B testing, short form versus long form, and time after time it's shown when everybody's using the short form. We have clients that actually offer both a long version and a short version, and in all cases nobody's using the long version. So that tells you.
Yeah, there's two parts to that. Not only is it time and energy. Look, I'm busy. Boom, just give me the information. But it's also a trust factor. If I don't know you and we haven't built credibility, then why should I give you all this extra information that you're asking, when all I want to do is maybe get a phone call, some more information? So I think the trust and credibility part is very important there also.
Oh, absolutely true. Yes. Now, on the more technical side, you want to make sure your contact form is user-friendly on mobile devices, because more and more your target audience or your prospective buyers are going to use a smartphone or tablet to contact you. So make sure they work well, because oftentimes what we've seen is websites will develop, they look great on mobile devices, but when you get to the form, it's harder to use. Maybe the fields are longer than the screen size of a mobile device. That happens a lot. So make sure the forms are mobile friendly. Now, if we continue with our list, the next thing we do recommend to have a bit of a text at the top of a contact form, something to really encourage that visitor to fill it out. It doesn't have to be a book, just a couple of sentences, something very friendly, very positive, very quick. So then people again have that incentive to fill out the form.
Yeah, and that is that. I think that goes back to kind of the trust and credibility that says, hey, we do want to talk to you. You can't just assume that because somebody's on your website that they know that you want to talk to them. I'm a firm believer that whenever you design, build, or create something for the general public, you really have to bring it down in most cases to the second grade level. And part of that second grade level mentality is just because you put a contact form doesn't necessarily mean that people feel, and that's the key word, that they feel like you want to engage with them. So just, a couple of sentences, especially with mobile, you don't want a bunch of text in there, but, just a couple of sentences that say, hey, we're excited you're here. If you have any questions, we'd love to chat with you. And depending on your industry, make it very informal and have some fun with it a little bit.
Oh yeah, so use a bit of humor. People like it to smile. You don't have that physical contact. It's a screen. So being a little fun and positive, people appreciate that always, regardless of their personality type. Now, talking about that, also make the design interesting and compelling. You don't want to make it too busy and too confusing unless your target audience is very artistic and trendy. But to make it a little bit nicer than the boring white on gray, gray on white contact form. Next things to think about. So there's, again, 13 do's and don'ts. The next one would be don't make every field required. I understand as a business owner, you would love to get all that information in your inbox, but the truth of the matter is people, again, the trust factor, that credibility, it's not there yet. So you want to make as little as possible mandatory to send. I would recommend the email, and that's about it. Email that will help you prevent spamming if you can make it required. But everything else, if possible, keep it optional.
Right. And the other thing I would say to that, for those people that feel that they need all this other information up front, I think I would push back and say, well, you really don't need all that information right now. What you need is for them to contact you. So the lower you make that barrier, if it's just a name and an email, that's it. If that creates the connection, that's really the most important part. Once you've created that connection and you've started to create trust and credibility, you can send another form. Maybe it's not a contact form, but it may be a questionnaire, or you can email the client a link to another contact form that's private that has all those additional questions and answers that now they're going to be willing to answer.
Yes, you and I have a client in common, and they have several contact forms on their website, long, medium size, short one. One of them is on their homepage. It's very quick. It's either email or phone number and their first name. That is the only one used on their website. And that's a very big company. They have over a dozen locations in California. So that is the one form everybody uses, which is interesting. So again, without saying it verbally, that the prospective client has given you permission to contact them, and then you do your sales pitch again. Now, something else to consider is things that has changed over the past 2 years is adding a CAPTCHA to your contact form. Years ago, we would tell people not to do that. We found, they're annoying, entering the security code, people can't read it, and they don't want to take that extra step. Truth of the matter is internet security breaches over the past 24 months has greatly increased over the internet. So a form is a great way for hackers to get into your database, onto your website. So we now highly, highly recommend to put a CAPTCHA, a strong one, onto every contact form you have on your website. And it doesn't have to be a complicated CAPTCHA. Sometimes it could be a sum. It says 1 + 3 equal. If a client cannot say it's 4, then maybe you don't want them as a client. So there are different types of CAPTCHA that are a little bit more user-friendly, but they're still great at fighting all those hackers out there.
Yeah, definitely. And there is, on the flip side, you don't want to get all the spam either.
Correct. Now, another thing to consider is the send button. A lot of people just have send or submit or next or go. The truth of the matter is, if you change the text slightly to something that's more catchy and more compelling, like click here to submit your request, if you make it more of an affirmation, the conversion rate is actually going to be greater. And again, this is based on a lot of A and B testing we have done and other industry peers have done as well. So change the contact form, also visually make it a little bit more interesting than just a black button. It could be kind of cute and funny, but give it a call to action. Now I'm going, and we have about 4 left. Next is make sure you don't just have a message sent kind of a message. What would be better than that is to redirect the sender to a thank you page. This fill out the form, and instead of just, oh, we got your email, maybe something a little bit more marketing oriented. Thank you, we have received your information, we look forward to get back to you. You know, maybe make it seasonal. If it's Christmas, wish them a Merry Christmas. So again, a thank you page is far better than just an on-screen message when the message has been sent.
Right, and you know, the one thing I would add on to that is that at that point you're caring about the user experience, and when you can make the user experience positive because it's unique, it's friendly, it just, again, it shows that you care. It lends to building trust and credibility with people. For years, and I still do, I fly Southwest. It's convenient, it's local, they fly where I want to. You know, most of my flights are pretty short, not an issue. When I went to Mexico earlier this year, I ended up flying Virgin America. And you know, they still got me from point A to point B. They did it in pretty much the same time. The price was a little bit more expensive, but the user experience was completely different on Virgin America. And that user experience is what makes it leaves a positive feeling in your brain that goes, all right, maybe I should consider using these people. And if somebody's contacting you, and if you're in an industry where they're not just going to contact you, but 3 or 4 other companies, that user experience can be that first nugget of positive, where you're making a positive deposit, if you will, psychologically into that prospect's brain that could result in, a new sale down the road.
Yes, I mean, you make a very good point there, especially when people are shopping around and you're just one of many they've contacted. Making that positive feel to them will make the difference. The tipping point, choosing you versus your competition.
Yeah, I mean, all of that, the more and more that as I grow my business, more and more I'm thinking about the customer experience and what is that user experience from, when they call, what they look at, how we respond, what we do, how we follow up. And I think the more you can make that customer experience a positive one, it's just going to reap rewards for you down the road.
Yeah, and that's a good point to the next 3 points we have for today. And the next one is to make sure you have a system in place to capture that information and how you're going to handle the response. So it's nice to have a contact form. It's nice that it's being used. Make sure you have something in place to get back to the client as quickly as possible to finalize that sale. Next, to also make sure that once a month, maybe every first of the month, you checked every contact form on your website to make sure there are no server issues or website issues you're unaware of. You want to take care of that as quickly as possible. And the last point of our 13 don'ts and do's of a great contact form is to have different forms, like we discussed at the very beginning, throughout your website. If you are a retailer, maybe there are different contact form when it comes to the shopping cart, and there are contact form about technical support, for instance, on shipping. So again, don't just stick to one contact form if you're a big company. Have several throughout your website for different purpose.
All right, perfect. Yeah, that was great timing because our time is up. That is the show for today. A lot of great information in there about contact forms. One of the things I will push back on people, one is going to be definitely the follow-up because of that user experience. And then number 2, I think a lot of times people think that a contact form should just be on the contact page. But, if you have a 2-column website, why can't you have a little mini contact form like you said, technical, if you have technical questions because you have a technical product, or you got to think about it with your own clients and products. But I think there's an opportunity to include contact forms throughout the website in order to generate an increase in, hey, we really do want to talk to you.
Yes, all good.
All right, perfect. Well, with that, Virginie, that is the end of the show. As always, I appreciate the time and energy that you put into this. We will see you next Thursday, same place, same time. Until then, I hope you have a great week. And everybody out there, thank you very much.
Goodbye.